Most right now. Oh, okay, kind of. Okay, so I will ask you to record instead. And just to confirm, when the questions about certification, yes, we do provide certificate of participation. So like I mentioned that at the end, we're going to ask you to do the evaluation form. And towards the end of that evaluation form, we will ask if you want to get a certificate or not. If you do, you can provide information in that section. All right, so please stay tuned until the end. All right, I think now it's time to start our webinar. But first of all, let Ajahn Panna actually introduce our speaker of the day. So I will pass the floor to Ajahn Panna.
สวัสดีค่ะ everybody. สวัสดีค่ะ Professor Budsaba ค่ะ well, this distinguished guest doesn't need any introduction, but we're going to do it anyway, just to slightly annoy her. Well, she is a trailblazer in applied linguistics and in linguistics in general. As many of you know, that she received her PhD degree at Georgetown University under the supervision of world-renowned gurus such as Douglas Piper and Professor John Swales and two other supervisors. And her research articles have inspired us over the years. Ajahn, we met 31 years ago at Silpakorn University, and I was truly inspired by your teaching. Well, back then you were teaching linguistics and phonetics, really, and I still remember you full of fun classes, you know. Okay, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Budsaba Kanoksilapatham.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. So I have 2 good hours to spend with you all. But as I said, there is a game at the end, and I want everyone to stay at the end. The prize might not be that fantabulous. I might eventually end up giving 1 lottery ticket for you, you know, to win, hopefully, but stay to the end, and that's my game, and I want everyone to participate. There are rules for that though, but they are very simple. You can just, you know, send your answers to the chat box function, and then that will be it. And my moderator will help me find the judge then. Okay, I will share the screen then, okay? Well, I usually honor the invited institutions, so I try to use red and yellow, which actually are not my colors at all. So I try a little bit intimidated by my own colors. Okay, as you can see that when I created my talk title, I said, what happened when online, blah, blah, blah. So you will find out what does it mean when I say this and what is the best place or the best word or the best phrase to complete the blank. Okay, so hopefully you will stay to the end then. Right, so I hope you can participate in a game toward the end, and the game is called, Can You Read My Mind? I mean, it's very scary for you to read my mind, but I would like to see whether you can do it or not, so be my guest, right? Now, the first one that I want to mention is introduction. We know that technology is very, very influential. And I think we all teachers here know, we try to change, drastic change of the teaching styles until the COVID-19 outbreak hit. And the hit was so hard that we couldn't maintain the same routine anymore. Overnight time, we have to change the way we teach, and the students have to change the way they learn as well. So both technology and COVID-19 has, you know, done a tremendous job on teaching and learning. We are not going to be the same anymore. And I'm sure even COVID-19 is gone, we have some kind of things that we have to adapt and modify in our teaching. But, you know, after 18 months of teaching, you know, because of COVID-19, teaching online, do we know that whether teaching has done a good job on our students or not? Have you done research on that for 18 months? Well, I don't know whether you say yes or no. So later on, I would like you to interact by using the chat function, but not right now though. See, we don't know the answers. Whether when we do the online teaching, are the students getting better or worse? We don't know that. So we just play with the idea, okay, it's online because of COVID-19. Well, however, the previous studies have shown that the impacts of ICT integration and application has been quite positive. That's what study says, that it has been very positive, right? So I guess because of the positive impacts on ICT, it means that actually there must have some kind of merits or values on language teaching them, right? Now, the next one. Well, the previous studies have shown that the positive impacts of ICT have been witnessed in multiple settings, be university, high school, elementary students, or what, even education levels, language, history, mathematics, and even through various platforms or devices. So these are all, the studies yield that positive impact of ICT integration, right? So right now, with the advanced technology, again, as I said, the way we teach and the way we learn the language will not be the same anymore. But then how much do we know about that? We almost know nothing, right? But we can conclude that, yes, ICT provides a powerful tool for personalized learning, right? It allows students to access information and, of course, to record their learning progress. But if I ask you the questions right now, to all of you here, one, how much do we know about our students? Are they getting better in terms of their language competence? Are they? You think yes or no? You can write your answer in your chat box, because I'm going to use the chat box function throughout the talk, right? See that? You cannot say no, you cannot say yes, because we haven't done research yet whether online learning and online teaching have done a good job or not. We don't know. The next question is, do you think when you have to teach the students online, are they happy? The similar question, are they happy? The teacher say, oh, I'm so happy because I don't have to get dressed and drive to work. I can be at home. But do the students feel happy doing that then? Or it's just your own speculation, right? And what are some problems the students encounter? Have you heard what they complain? I remember when I taught it the first time, I asked my students, and given the fact that I'm only 18 or 19 years old, they said, oh, teacher, I have a backache problem. I was about to cry because I said, if I have my own child of 20 years old, and after being in online lessons for only 3 weeks, they complain they have a back problem. Another person said, oh, Ajahn, I didn't have a back, I have an eye problem. I think that's very catastrophic or atrocious for the students, to go through this experience. But anyway, my study here today is going to try to answer the questions that I just asked you. For example, do you know how much the students can be with you for online lesson? Forever, 3 hours, 4 hours? What is the right amount of instruction they can get online? If you don't know the answer, my study will show you the answer. The second question, they say, okay, what is the best time to teach, right? For example, today's webinar, Litu has done a very good job for me because they scheduled me on Saturday, which is the weekend. And the talk is only 2 hours. And the talk is in the afternoon. So I think it sounds so good. It might not be the same if I have a webinar in the morning, okay? So this is what my study is about, right? Next. The first one, I put the word here, OER. That's the keyword of my talk today. If you don't know what OER is, it's time for us to learn. Well, OER stands for Open Educational Resources. You might not know the terms because people tend to ignore these terms, but actually you have been using them every day, I'm sure. So according to the definition, OER refers to freely accessible and openly licensed materials and resources on the internet. Well, as simple as that, freely accessible, openly licensed materials and resources on the internet. So can you think of examples of OER? I'm sure that when you need some kind of materials, you will Google and you will find out lots and lots of materials available on the internet. Well, those are called OER, okay? So now we know what OER is. The common ones are like Kahoot, Okay, Kahoot is a good example of OER. What else? Quizzes, right? So these are good sources, not to mention other sources that provide a lot of exercises and lessons online, right? Now let's evaluate then. What are the good points or what are the bad points of OER? Well, good points or advantages. Ready-made, you like it? I love it, right? Because if we spend a lot of time, many hours and many days and many nights, and still our materials are not going to be as great as those are available in Kahoot or quizzes, believe me, right? Because and if we spend so much time, we get so tired. So actually one good thing is that they are ready for use, right? More than that, then the OERs offer a wide range of materials and language skills. It's a high volume out there on the internet. The next one, free. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. And it has a big coverage of various language skills and levels. No doubt about that, right? But what are the downsides of these OERs that are available on the internet? Well, I have a little picture here. This is not the one I used, but the one I saw, and I think I used it as an example, right? It says here, what place is this? You can see that, oh, that's a mistake, right? And that's exactly one of the flaws or one of the downsides of OERs available on the internet. People may not be that careful, and that's why the language input there can be flawed, as this is the one. What place is it instead of what place is it? They say, what place is this, right? Now, in this study, I still think the advantages of OER outweigh the downsides. So I will use the OER lessons and the materials in my study, okay? Now, and this is, you know what, I just read an article and they say, you know, like many people have a very wrong conceptions about online learning. Online learning has to be on the internet only. So when we talk and when we teach using Zoom, some scholars said that's not exactly what we call online. So in my lecture here, it's going to be really, truly online. Okay, so there are two research questions here. Number one, the effectiveness of OER links in enhancing university students' English. Of course, because I teach university students, I want to see that if I let my students explore OERs, the OERs will have or exert positive impacts on their learning or not. Okay, that's question number one. The second question is that they're online. I don't know how they access their online lessons. I want to find out about their online learning behaviors. Okay, do they access the OER once and for all, or they just do, you know, bit by bit, you know, 5 minutes and then they leave and then come back again, like what? And what time they want to do it? Because I think this information is very crucial for us as teachers in order to make sure that online learning is really, really effective and no damage or harm on our students here. So in order to answer the first research question, I need to subcategorize the terms that I use here. And there are only two terms. Number one, online learning. And this is exactly based on the study that I read recently. They say that online learning is an umbrella term, but actually it's for any learning that's taking place on the internet. So that's why these scholars along this, I say that when you teach like the classes via Zoom, via Google Meet, those are not exactly online. Oh, by the way, I have two birds upstairs and they are chirping because they thought I was talking to them. So apologies for that. But I hope you don't mind my, you know, Sun Kono birds. They are very talkative, like the owner. Okay, the second one I need to separate, sorry, is online lessons here. So online lessons in my talk is separated as OER, as I mentioned earlier. With these two in mind, then the next one, the context and participants. So I'm going to focus on the study is on medium-sized university, public university, which is actually my own university. And I want to focus on first-year students in humanities who are basically interested in learning English. And of course, the age range is from 18 to 21 years old. Now, this participation here is voluntary which means that they don't get extra credits for anything. There is no connection with the students' classwork or the courses taken at all. So they are freely independent on their own. Okay. Now, in order to do that, then OER as online lessons. Well, as we know that OERs are everywhere. If you Google, it's just only one click away and you see the tons and tons of OER lessons. However, we need to talk about the scale and scope, right? Number one question is, what OER to be employed? What are the lessons to be employed? If you are teaching your students, you need to know that, okay, not all OERs are good. Some of them can be quite bad and some can be quite good. So you need to have some kind of screening process, right? So let's focus on the scope then, right? Well, I cannot cover everything about the English language. So given the fact that my students are first year English, so I want to know that, for example, what are the certain language skills that my students should be learning, right? So this is the first question. How do we answer this then? What you should learn as a language learner in first year? Well, I go back and take a look at the commercial textbooks that are usually used by university students or in the curriculum, and thinking, consider the time allocation for the project as well. Okay, this is what I found. I found out these are the 5 common language skills. Be my guest then. What are the 5 language skills that we university teachers think that the students should master or have? Okay, think about then. What are the 5 language skills? If you have to teach first year students English, then what are the 5 language skills you want to include in your OER lessons? Well, definitely grammar is there. Not because grammar is extremely important, but because this is the way we test and the way we teach in Thailand. We also have reading, right? Because reading is a crucial skill that could lead to writing. We also have expressions, so that students can use the right expressions in the right context. What else? Listening, right? And vocabulary. So these are the 5 areas based on my exploration of the commercial textbooks used in university setting. Again, as you all know, right, that each language skill has its own pertaining sub-skills. For example, you can imagine, right, if you teach grammar, what does it mean then? Grammar, tense, article, relative pronoun, right? What else? Adjective, adverb. So these are the common sub-skills that pertain to grammar. The same reading, skimming, scanning, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to go into detail here. So based on these 5 skills and the sub-skills of these skills, they provide the keywords for my search. Okay, so I use the keyword, for example, tense, articles, skimming, scanning as the keywords in order to find what are available out there on the internet for me. Okay, so I will start the OER link searching. Well, searching is not that easy. It could be quite painful because you got loads and loads of websites that pop up when you key the word like, skimming and scanning. Well, so the OR links pertaining to each topic, I got a lot of that then, right? So they are ready-made, nice, freely available, cool. But these links are designed for the general public, not for your students. Therefore, not all OER links are appropriate. So this is something that people have to be very careful when you use OER links, that all the links are not great, as I said. So we need to know that the content are appropriate for my first year students. The content match my students' interest or not. So these are the crucial features that we have to bear in mind. Now, as a researcher, what do you do then in order to make sure that the OER links that you will select will make sure that they accommodate your students' interest? What do you do then? What is the keyword in terms of methodology? The keyword is validation, right? So we have to validate them. More to that is that some links can be too easy. I mean, when you look at it, oh, it's getting too easy, my students won't be interested in it. And sometimes they are too challenging, right? And moreover, as I mentioned earlier, that some links are very flawed, contain erroneous materials. And sometimes, some links are very extensively long and some are very short. And that's not be good for our students. So the link that I got emerged from the search will undergo what we call validation. The validation is a very crucial stage. And that's why for us who are researchers, we need to make sure that the contents of the links match up our interest and the students' interest as well. So we try to make sure that establish that the links that we selected will be satisfactory and appropriate in terms of content, language use, and difficulty level. So these are the three key areas, right? So what do I do then? Go through the validation process by having the three experts. So the three experts are both international and Thai scholars who have been teaching, English at university level for many years, okay? So these three people will be the key people who validate all sorts of instruments in my study. Okay. Now, we find that some links wouldn't work, and that's why we have to eliminate many of OER links. So finally, we have a number of links for each skill. So we finally have 5 sets of OER links pertaining to each language skill, okay? And each language skill consists a number of topics, which in turn represented by 2 or 3 OER links. So the links are quite substantial, really. Okay, the next one, well, this is a solemn intermission. Again, you can see that this is what my question that at the end, I will use the chat box function. So hopefully you should be familiar. And I want you to complete my talk title, which is what happened when online, blah, blah, blah. So be my guest, use the chat box function, and the answers will cover from 2 to 4 words. If you write 5 words, you're not qualifying, okay? So think about that, and you have been talking like this, so you might start, collecting data and say, oh, Ajahn Bibi was having this in her head. Okay, so that's the intermission. The next one. Now we have many instruments though. There are 4 instruments in my study. Number 1, personal information sheet. This one is very crucial because without this information, I wouldn't be able to create the accounts on the Moodle, University Moodle. There are 5 sets of the pre-tests and parallel post-tests. Why do we have this test? Because I want to make sure that before they start the OER lessons, they were proficient or not. And after the exposure to my OER lessons, they are getting better or not, or worse, who knows, right? Also the questionnaire to ask them about their behavior and their attitude, and also semi-structured interviews. So this seems to be, very pattern in any studies right now. Now let's move on, right? With the Moodle system here, we collect the personal information in order to create the accounts in the Moodle system, which is very technical at this point. Now, the pre-test. So be my guest then, right? I want to assess the student's knowledge before and after the OER exposure. So I finally created 5 pre-tests. 5 sets, 5 sets, each set for each language skills, right? And each set contains 40 multiple choice items, right? And based on the pre-test items, I created another set of 40 parallel post-test items. Now, let's focus on the items here because I said pre-test and post-test, but I don't want to use the same test because the students might, have some kind of, the memorization that might get carried over and influence the scores. So this is what I came up with. Look at the left side, pre-test, and the right side, the post-test item. Now, be my guest then. Number 1, what language skill I'm focusing on? Can you see it? I'm sorry, Naha Chokchai, you have to come closer to the screen. Okay, Chokchai, I can see you smile. Thank you for being here. Right, number 1, normally I blank from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., but this month I overtime. So what is the language skill I'm focusing on with this question? Grammar, reading, speaking, listening, writing, vocabulary, what is it? I can read the lips. Chok Chai said grammar. Thank you, Chok Chai, for being my supporter. Okay? Yes, exactly. It's grammar, right? So the grammar part here is about tense, right? And this is how the post-test look like, right? What the usually Laura, her car to work, but this week she a bus. So again, it focuses on the same point, grammar, and the same sub-skill of tense. How about number 2? Sorry, you have to stare at the screen. If you go blank to supermarket next to the bus stop, can you grab me blank box of milk? What skill? ค่ะ I could read หยก ปัทมารัตน์นะคะ They are my students. Thank you. Okay, it's grammar again, but it's not tense. What is it? It's article. So you see that I want to make sure that the pre-test and post-test are doing the same job, but it's not a matter of memorization. So the students couldn't get away from that. Okay. Now, what did they do then? This is the instrument called post-OER exposure questionnaire. I want to ask them about their behaviors because there is no study on this. อาจารย์คะ I slept on my bed and did exercise ค่ะ อาจารย์คะ I sit at my desk and I hard working on that then, right? And the attitudes, do they like it or not, right? We don't have any idea because after 18 months, we kept on working online teaching, but actually there is no evidence, no empirical evidence at all. Now, the last part is OER questionnaire, 4 parts. When we take a look at them in detail later on, right? So part 1, these are the online behaviors. I asked them the average access hours per day. I think this is very crucial because nobody knows exactly that if they are left alone at home working with on OER, how many hours? Of course, for Netflix, how many hours you spend on Netflix? In my case, forever. I binge watch The Good Doctor. I binge watch, and I love Freddie. He's a good guy, even though he has autism problem, but he's a great guy. See that? But you don't expect the students to be like that when they are taking lessons online, because online and entertainment lessons and entertainment are 2 different businesses. And I really want to know. Next, the period of time preferred for access. They want to get up at 6 o'clock and do online learning. Man, that's not going to happen. Chok Chai keep, shaking his head. Well, never occurred to me, right? Okay, so I want to know exactly the time that they prefer to get up and do online lessons. The device from which the access was made. I want to know this. Why? Because if you take the lessons from from PC and then from smartphone, they have different impacts for certain skills. And the last one, I have all these links for you guys, my students. Did you access all of them? Or probably none of all. So I want to know how they behave with online lessons. Okay, next one. Right. The next one is the 5-point life scale. It's the questionnaire. I want to ask them their opinions, the merits of online questions, and then their attitudes, which is not very interesting. The next part, it's a semi-structured interviews. You know what? Thai students are very quiet and they are not very expressive. But you know what? When they are with you one by one, and if you start asking them questions, you'll find something quite alarming. And sometimes it can be quite shocking for you to have the results in hand. I want to ask them about their attitudes, their perception, strengths and weaknesses of OER, and their preferred English lesson delivery mode. Okay, this is very interesting. Now, again, I want to remind my guests here that be my guest, chat box function, and you can enter only 2 to 4 words answer. And it has to be exact verbatim, exactly what I have in mind. But Ajahn Ka, I don't have no S. No, you've got to have S. Ajahn Ka, I don't have any ED. No, you've got to have ED because I want the answer to be exactly what I have in mind. Because the game is read my mind. Okay? Chok Chai, don't frown. I'm sure you will win this game. Okay? Right. Procedures. There are 2 procedures, one data collection and the other one is data analysis. Okay, now data collection, that's very interesting. So for those of you who are researchers and you want to work on this, be prepared to be disappointed. Well, started off, I have about 600 students in hand. And when I announced this project, they didn't have to pay anything. Actually, I even told them that if they are good students, they will get some intensive. And actually, many of them get about 2,000 baht each. So 356 students signed up. They signed up, just, which is good. 300 out of 600, they signed up. And in the first meeting, I asked them to complete the questionnaire so that they can get their personal data and they can get the accounts on Moodle, which is fine. But you know what? Not fine later on. And on that day, I administered the 5 sets of pre-tests of multiple choice, which altogether 200 items, and in 3 hours. Okay, so the test was completed and I collected the scores in the Moodle. 2 weeks after that, this is coincide with the time that they had the final exam. So they were busy with their final exam, and followed by the 3-week semester break, which means that no classes at all. That means they are free, either at home or, but I think most of them went home during that time. Okay, so the OR link selected, validated, and they were made accessible online through the Moodle system. Okay, now they have altogether 19 days because they have 3-week break. So 19 days for them to explore at their own pace, which is quite scary. When you leave the students at their own pace, you know what's going on. They might binge watch the movies, Netflix, The Crown, and everything except for ER. These lessons are freely available, okay? And besides that, I organized the help desk, operated 24 hours. And these are run by my 4th-year English majors so that they could answer any questions if the students have questions. Okay, I provided everything nice and neat. You know what happened? Right. A few days before day 19, I said, the post-tests are coming. The post-tests are coming. So there are post-tests. So the post-tests, as I mentioned, I'll show you later, they are parallel to the pre-tests. So they are 200. There are 200 items. So these tests are made available, okay, at any time, but they can access the test only once. Each test only once, okay, right? Anytime, any day, they can do it during the 3-day period. The post-test, again, each skill lasts for only 30 minutes. They could stop at any time or continue, that's okay, right? And the scores automatically collected in the Moodle system. Now, after that, then the semi-structures interviews were conducted. Randomly selected students, 2 students for each language skill. Randomly selected, it doesn't matter what scores they have. So I have altogether 10 interview sessions of about 15 minutes each, either by phone or, like by line, whatever they prefer. Okay, data analysis. So I have 3 different data sources triangulated. You know what happened here? The number 189. I started off from 600, right? And then it went down to 395, 359. And then you know what? The students who completed the test, the post-test, only 189. Well, people said, baby, you should be happy. At least you have 189. But somehow it's a big investment from 600 anyway, right? The pre-test and post-test scores calculated using descriptive statistics. And then the OER questionnaires completed and analyzed, the interview data collected and analyzed, right? Now, what happens here? The pre-test and post-test scores collected, questionnaire results, interview results, and analyzed. Nice. Look at this. This is the scores. Pre-test scores and post-test scores side by side for each skill. Grammar, listening, expressions, reading, and vocabulary. Okay, so 189, the final pool. Now, based on this table then, right, the students seem to be weakest They are the weakest in what skill? Clearly, what skill? Listening. Yeah, their listening is not that great because they're a little bit low score. And also what? Vocabulary. So these two skills are the two weaknesses. And look at that, the mean score. We are talking about the students who are in the humanities. And their score is about 24 and 25 out of 40. So actually, they are not that great to begin with, which is okay. It's because hopefully that the post-test scores will be much better now. So let's take a look at the post-test scores. Oh, sorry, the post-test score here. You see that? The post-test scores, what happened here? Which skill they perform much better from your eyeball? Which skills they perform much better? Vocabulary. Vocabulary, had a highest increase. So, but in terms of statistics, these 5 skills are significantly different. They are much better in these skills, right? So we can say that yes, OER lessons have positive impacts on these 5 skills. No doubt about that. And I'm not surprised either, because this is exactly what previous studies have said about this. Now, what is more interesting, I would say, it's about these data. Now, the data here, the OER behaviors. Now, if I say the average daily number of hours they accessed OER lessons. Okay. Now, how many hours you think would be the answer? Okay, Shokchai say 1. Yok, how about Yok? You can just show your fingers. Shokchai said 1 from his experience. How about Yok, huh? Oh, Yok is 3. So Yok and Shokchai, well, these two, they are English teachers and they have different experience. So the answer is, this is from statistics, okay? I gave them 5 options: less than 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, and 3 to 4 hours, and more than 4 hours. See that? You know what? Most of them said, Ajahn, 1 and 2 hours, enough, no more than that. Okay? So they said, no, that's something very interesting, because I didn't know that this is the maximum. Whereas you can watch, Netflix all day, binge watch all day, and then we were so happy. But not for OER lessons. And these lessons are all interactive. Boom, bam, doom, dam. The voice and everything, but still, all these interactive features couldn't hold their attention that long. So 1 hour and 2 hours max. See, we don't know anything until we had this study. I said, Ajahn, don't assign too much, naka, because we wouldn't survive, naka, 1 and 2 hour max. And that's why, see that, Litu? I think Litu is very smart. They scheduled the talk to be 1 to 2 hours only. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think they don't have stats in mind, just, guessing. Okay, so again, even though the OER lessons are very interactive, for the pedagogical purposes, 1 and 2 hours max. Now, the next question, be my guest. OER access behaviors, right? The time periods of the day they accessed the OER lessons. Okay, from 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the morning, from 6 to 12, from 1 to 6 p.m., from 6 p.m. to midnight. See, Shokchai is a night owl, because he didn't say anything until he said, yes, in the afternoon or in the evening, that's his time. So he's a night owl. Maybe there are some, morning birds and some night owls, and the answer is, right, with 4 options, 1 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 18, and 18. The answer is 12 to 18. And that's exactly the time of my talk, which is from 1 to 3. So I think, this is just a perfect match, right? So now you know that you want your students to learn, don't have an 8 o'clock class. They are not awake yet, right? But look at the time then, right? Then they prefer 6 to 12. Why? Because they haven't gone to bed yet. They haven't gone to bed yet. See, that's it. That's the only reason. Not because they get up early, because they haven't gone to bed yet. Now, the other behaviors, what devices they use to access the lessons? I'm sure you can answer this. Okay, what devices they access the lessons? And the answer is, of course, most of them use PC. Some of them use smartphones, which are going to be quite painful later on. Okay, and the last one, sorry, the next one, right? They access all of the online lessons during the 19 days. All the answer is yes or no. Did they access all of my online lessons? I even told them, you know, if they are good, they will get 2,000 baht from us. And there are about 20 students got 2,000 baht. Even though I gave them incentives, no, the answer is only 23%. You know what? This is a heartbreaking thing for me to see the results after all my efforts and energy and time put into the project. And only 45 participants participated by accessing all lessons. But I think they are being very honest, because the others say, so, oh, Ajahn, we couldn't afford that. This is not much fun anymore. Anyway, so it's the findings are good for you. When you teach your students and you assign something, you need to know that, well, they are not doing what you expect either, right? Now, when I asked them about the 5-part skills on the questionnaire, whether, you know, the content, they like the content, they like the skills, this is not interesting. They are okay. They like the content, they like the topic diversity, they like the content thoroughness, and they particularly like the relatively current content. Now, this is a good part for us because it takes us a while to write a textbook. To me, it took me 5 years to write a textbook. And that's why our materials are not going to be current. So don't spend time writing these kind of materials. You better use online materials because they are more current in that case. Okay. The next one. Now, they said online lessons are good. Why? Why are they good? Because we don't have any pressure while studying online. I can see that. No one pushing you. No one is going to be behind your back saying, come on, do your work, right? Now, but this is going to be very interesting. The question I ask is, do the online lessons maintain their attention and keep them focused? You know what? I really want to know what happened. Can they stay focused when they are online? And the answer is, this is the one with the lowest mean score of all. As no, Ajahn, no, we couldn't stay focused, even though your online lessons are very interactive, very interesting, very exciting, but we couldn't maintain our own interest on our own. We can't, okay? So that's a good point. What happened when they are at home studying online? Not because they are bad, but because there are some other factors, right? But in general, they said, okay, they believe that online lessons are good because they have positive attitudes. So it's good for us to integrate ICT in our teaching. Now, interview data, I delve into the matters further, right? I want to ask them about what their attitudes, strengths and weaknesses, and prefer. This is the one which is very interesting. Now, the answers, number one, yeah, they are positive. They like it. But sometimes they said, oh, I don't want to use the smartphone. Some students said, smartphones are killing me. I said, why? Ajahn, I couldn't read the text on smartphones because the reading texts are too long and my eyes are aching, right? And that's why reading skill would be the skill that needs to be extremely careful when you assign them to do online, because their eyes couldn't manage this really, especially through smartphone. Now the next one, they say that, yeah, okay, I can see that OER lessons can improve my test scores. They help me a better person. I learn better. Yeah, okay, this is good. But you know, the next one. Well, some students said, I'm not familiar with online testing at all. And especially, you know, it's very hard for me to do the reading. Now, this is the last one here. He said, it's very hard for him to stay focused, taking online lessons at home. I said, what's going on at home? I said, Ajahn, if I stay home, I have expectations from my family members. Mom came up, Mom, can you do this for me? Can you do this? Can you do that? So this is called unstoppable distractions. And I can see that too, because when I teach, I can hear, Mom, get the money, close the door, take the garbage out. So I could hear that because you are there, right? So the boundaries between being an online class and being at home are being compromised. And that's why the teachers have to understand the scenario that the students are not only doing one thing, they are being a member of a household family and have to do household chores as well. Now, the next one, which is a big issue. One participant said he feels so lonely being at home. Now, I think this is a crucial word. We cannot take it lightly. Lonely here means isolation. And that's why the students, who have been in online lessons for so long, they will suffer from being so isolated. And that's why we need to come up with something to make sure that they have the chance to interact with each other. Now, the next one here, when I asked them, what is the preferred delivery mode? I gave them 3 choices, right? 100% online, 100% on-site, and hybrid. You know what? Most of them said, hybrid, please. They said hybrid. Why? You think because they love us, teachers? They want to see teachers' lovely face? Come on, be realistic. That's not true, right? But why did they prefer to have hybrid classroom? I asked them, and you know what they said? It might break your heart as well. Because the teacher can make me work. I feel compelled to be more disciplined and responsible because the teacher is pushing me. So we are not angels in their eyes. We are not that angels. We are not that sweet. They say, oh, because you are there, I can do it. If you're not there, I won't do it. Okay, so this leads me to the idea of what we call self-regulation learning. I have been listening to many webinars, especially webinars on online, and nobody mentioned this at all. And that's why I would spend a lot of time on this notion of SRL. I don't think any one of you here is familiar with this. So that's why you might be hearing about SDL. What is SDL? SDL stands for self-directed learning. But I think scholars nowadays don't understand the distinction between SRL and SDL. And that's why they mingle these 2 notions, which is not correct at all. Okay, so what does it mean by SRL, right? SRL is something called, it's a goal striving. Okay, whereas SDL is goal setting. So what does it mean then? In adult education, the adult learners, they have their own goals, and that's why they say, I want to do this, I want to do that. So the adult learners, they have SDL, right? But for the students that we have in class, they cannot have their own goals because they have to take the test, they have to take the entrance examination, they have to pass the exam. That's why they cannot set their own goals. So we, the teachers, set the goals, and the students have to have a lot of SRL or self-regulated learning in order to achieve the goal. Okay, now SRL has been studied extensively and we use in the school setting, whereas the SDL is for adult education because adult learners, they have their own goals already. Okay, so SRL is the learning task generated by the teacher. The teacher creates the task, and that's exactly what we are doing in our classes. We create the task, we create the activities, and the students have to play the measure of controlling their SRL. Ability to plan and control their learning process. Now, SRL, their habits, monitor and regulate their learning processes and make adjustments as well. Okay, now why I say SRL is very important. I'm sure you already here know the MOOCs. What is a MOOC? You know MOOCs? At least you heard of it, right? It's a massive online courses, right? MOOCs are everywhere that people can attend courses for free at their own pace. And you know what? Studies on MOOCs, many studies have found that MOOCs are likely to face a failure. What failure? A high dropout rate. You know, I am a good example. I signed up for Coursera and I signed up for MOOC courses. And you know what? I first 3 classes. I was good at the beginning. And then later on, oh no, I'm being lessons, right? So online lesson success is crucially determined by SRL. In this case, in the Thai context, okay, in the Thai context, right? SRL has very good connection with teacher presence. So teacher presence is very valuable in order to compel the students to learn and achieve what they're supposed to achieve. And that's why when the students are in online learning environments, what happened? They suffer so much because the low levels of teacher presence. And that's why the SRL is very low as well. Okay. Next. Right. Now, the final thought then, what do we learn from this? As I said, the findings can be quite painful and excruciating. But you know what, teachers, we have to take it. We have to have patience to deal with that. Online behaviors, attending online lessons is very cognitively engaging, right? And that's why it needs more than just, interactive features. It needs a lot of motivation and it needs a lot of supporting environments. And that's why attrition rate and withdrawal, as reflected in my study, that only 45 students could stay to the end. The others just, access the online lessons sporadically. Why? Because they have very low incentives. Why should we do that then? My next door neighbor, they have 2 kids in school right now, and they said one of them fell asleep every time they have online lessons. I don't blame her. I actually feel for her. At young age of, grade 6, of course, I will feel asleep. Okay. Now, so the students need emotional supports from peers. With isolation, it means that they need to be able to work in groups to get support from their peers, from their friends. And that's why, if anyone would think that physical classrooms will be eradicated or replaced, I think that will be a catastrophe. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, because right now, many institutions save a lot of money by having online lessons, but I'm sure that one day everything will collapse because physical classrooms are still needed and it cannot be replaced by online lessons. So that's why Thai learners need to develop autonomous skills by themselves. Okay, they need up to autonomy. And there is one study saying that in general, Thai students are very passive. Agree? Agree? Thai students are very passive as opposed to active. Agree? Definitely so. Thai students are very obedient. Yes or no? Chok Chai didn't say anything. Ajahn Kap, not anymore. Okay. Thai students are uncritical. Very likely so. And that's why PISA skills, as revealed, Thai students are very low around the world, very low. Huh? So and they're not unwilling to challenge the teachers. The teacher can say, and they will say, okay, yes. Yes, they don't want to challenge, right? Agree? Ajahn Ka, you can do anything, Ka. No, Ka, Ajahn Ka, tell me what to do, Ka, and I will do it, Ka. So Thai students have this kind of attitude that tell me and I will do it. If you don't tell me, what happened? When I left on my own to decide what and how to study, they found it more frustrating, challenging, and difficult. And this is exactly what I found in my study. So what people have said it's still valid and verified by my study that if you ask them to do on their own what to study and how to study, they'll be very frustrated and they will find the task is very difficult as well. Okay, so the teachers, I think we have to use the word SRL more often, and we have to come up with a strategy. So the DIE need to develop autonomy and SRL. Unfortunately, SRL hasn't been mentioned a lot. So I think all participants here, maybe you should continue my work by investigating the SRL strategies of your students. And they said SRL strategies can be different across cultures and languages. And I'm sure that is the case here. Now, well, I think I enjoy my studies. At least I learned a lot about my students. I learned that I couldn't push them further because they have their own limitations. But back to the limitations of OER as well. OER can be ephemeral in nature. What does it mean by ephemeral? It means that today the links are there on the internet, but tomorrow the links might not exist. Does that happen to you? Yeah, I couldn't find it anymore because the author decided to take it down. So this is one of the risks, that the OER are not permanent. Actually, they are ephemeral in nature. So that's why, well, maybe you should contribute some OER to the internet world. So ELT educators must be very vigilant by staying active and look out for the good materials available on internet. Okay, so I think that's the end of my talk. Right now, I'm going to welcome any questions that you have. After the question session, there will be the game, as I said earlier. Okay, any questions? Any question? Very quiet. Exactly, Thai learners, typical characteristics. Huh? Questions?
Actually, we get some. Sorry, Kaja, we get some questions from the chat box. Actually, so maybe we can address that.
Okay, I need to see that. I couldn't get to my chat box right now.
Right. If you stop.
Yeah, the chat box.
Or if anybody wants to ask some questions, you can actually from the reactions tab at the menu bar, you can raise hand first. If you don't want to just unmute yourself and speak, you can raise hand and then Ajahn Budsaba can call for you.
I think this is a question here. After knowing that low results and participation, how if the students, when they evaluate you, give you low rating on your performance, would you believe that you are not quality and did not give your best as a teacher? I want to take up this question then. I don't know who wrote this question. You know what, being a teacher is a very risky career, right? And sometimes, even though you work so hard, spend day and night, you cannot make everyone happy on this planet. You can cry. Sometimes it's just one of your bad days, right? One of your bad days, and you have that kind of emotion, and you are a human being. How much can you take? And your performance might not be that great, but I'm sure that, be fair to yourself. You have worked so hard and you put a lot of efforts into it. Don't let one person ruin your life. Don't let that happen. Like I give a talk, it's very vulnerable to give a talk to 100 people here. Some might not enjoy my talk. Some might enjoy my talk. It's okay, but I'm sharing. So I might not do my best. I make mistakes here and there, but we are learning together. Otherwise, people won't grow. We learn from our mistakes. So you can cry, and you can cry with me. But you know what? Don't let them kill you. Don't let them kill you.
Thank you for that, Ajahn. But I also have a question. I am teaching in Silpakorn. I am teaching from Mathayom 1 to Mathayom 6. I have 524 students. I teach all of them. And I have been teaching here for 3 years, and recently we've changed into the online teaching. And unfortunately, we have evaluations, and it shows that out of 524, I only get 329 students to attend my class. And I have been very, very I work so hard to keep in touch with them. I message them on Facebook. I do everything because they don't like to learn Google Meet. They don't want to do Zoom class. They don't want to do anything. And I'm like asking them, what do you want to do? And they will answer me, teacher ka, may sumchay ka. So I'm like, I'm a Filipino. I teach here in Thailand. I'm trying to learn Thai language, Eastern language, so I can speak to them. But it's so frustrating, and sometimes I teach a lot and I make a lot of worksheets, I do a lot of stuff, but you can see like how many people joins my subject, and in the end it's your fault because they don't come to you. So I'm frustrated.
Well,
It's too much.
yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. Again, don't let them hurt yourself. You know what? When I teach online, I try to use a lot, Kahoots as activities, not to collect the scores. I said the Kahoots is to check your attendance.
Right.
Right. So I use Kahoots to check attendance, and I even give some prizes to those who get the top scores.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think try the Kahoot and try to do something that this is to check. I think checking attendance is one of the things you can do by using all the OERs, and those OERs are very entertaining because they have music, they have the rhythm, and they are very inspiring. And because they are choose the ones which are very easy so that they could feel accomplished. Okay. And once they feel accomplished, they'll feel that they are drawn to the class more. But I can feel for you, how can you teach 500 students? How
Yes.
can you survive though? Really?
I get crazy, but this is a responsibility given to me. And when I teach them in person, like face to face, I can really follow them through and they could respond to me because there's a language barrier going on. So I'm trying to do like body language. I'm trying to speak their language, and I'm trying to explain to them so they could understand, because I believe language is the reason why we learn is we want to understand each other. So I'm like trying to teach them that. But I just get like, sometimes I would sit for long hours and I just get so frustrated because I really want to help, but I think is there a problem? But everyone said, oh, it's not just you, it's all the subjects. ภาษาไทยด้วยสังคมด้วย everything. They're not interested and they don't like it.
But you know what? There is one thing which is a blessing. When I first taught online classes, my class is from 5 to 7:30. And you know what? I couldn't leave the room until 10 o'clock. You know why? Few students stay behind. They said, Ajahn, I love online teaching. I said, why? Because you know what? In the class, in the physical classroom, I wouldn't have enough courage to ask you questions. Because if my questions are silly, the students, my friends will say, oh, you are stupid. And that's why I would like to stay on to have a chat, one-to-one conversation. And there are many students like this, they kept asking, wait until the end. And that's why I couldn't leave the classroom until 10 o'clock. I said, that's amazing though, that students, they can hide their own identity. They don't feel vulnerable, and they are ready to share the question that they might think that they look silly to the others. So I have to say that that's one good thing. And I stay, usually I couldn't finish my class on time at all, really.
Wow.
Why don't you create that kind of thing, that if you have something to share, it might be hard, but there must be at least one student who could feel, that appreciate the time you spend with them. And I have that student, and you know what that student kept doing for the whole semester. I said, you again, right? You are the same. Yeah, Ajahn, it's the same student. And I think it's really nice that she can ask me questions about the part of the lessons that she didn't think that she could master it. Take that advantage then.
I will.
Yeah, please. And good luck, you know, good luck. Don't feel bad about it. It happens. It happens. You know what? Thinking about the evaluation, I think the administrators of university have to change the evaluation.
Yeah.
Don't give the chance for the students to attack you personally. We can be very vulnerable by having that kind of online assessment. So I think the questions have to be revised, not to attack the teachers personally.
Yeah.
Don't ask, you know, is the teaching bad or good? No. Ask, you know, whether have you worked hard enough for the class?
I think so too, Ajahn. The main reason why they don't attend online class is because they don't have money to buy internet.
Right. Oh, that's the basic problem. Ajahn Ka, I couldn't because I had to run to the cafe. I said, why you have to run to the cafe? My internet is low now. I said, be careful, don't get, you know, hit over by the car. That happened to my student before. So I think the students should be asking, you know, the questionnaires, the evaluation should say, how many hours can you stay online, right? And for example, what is the best time for your class to be online? I think these are the questions that the form should ask, not on the teacher's teaching performance.
Yeah.
Well, we can make it happen then.
Yes. Khop khun ka. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome. Any other question?
I got another question from Kun Poom's iPad asking how would we promote SRL among Thai undergrads?
Okay, to answer this question, there are many studies. I don't want to give it, but I think I should give away this question, this answer. There is something called SRL strategies. If you are familiar with Rebecca Oxford, who has, you know, like listening strategies, reading strategies, there is also SRL strategies. I think a teacher should have this set of instruments and implement it in the class to see what strategies your students are using or what strategies are not using. After you find out about the results of the SRL strategies, then you will know that what strategies need to be enhanced. And I'm sure that your students of all the audience here, you don't have the same group of students and they don't have the same strategies. I think that can be one good research study at really of your project. I wanted to do mine as well because I want to know what SRL strategies are missing and what are the strategies that can distinguish between good students and not so good students. I think that's very interesting because other findings have shown of particular context, but we don't have that kind of studies in Thailand yet that Thai students are very different. And we want to know what that means by being different compared with other language learners from other countries. So Chokchai, you want to do that?
Also, I see another hand raising from Miguel, I believe.
Go ahead. Yes.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry.
Hi, Miguel.
Hi. Hello, Ajahn. I'm very quiet here, but I'm totally listening to your discussion, and it's really touched me. Actually, it gives me more knowledge about it with regards to SDR, your SR. Those are the things. Sorry, and I just wanted to ask, like, I know many of us, as all teachers, are having some problems when it comes to this kind of pandemic. I know, because in my personal experience, I mean, like, I'm having some hard time how to, you know, be more interactive in my class. Like, I used to get my students to answer me in a setup that we're having this kind of situation of inside classroom. However, I'm having some hard time for those students. I'm teaching also in Thailand and Matayum level. And luckily, I'm teaching in the English program, so everyone can speak English. So that's a good thing there. However, I also teaching regular students, which is they're having some hard time, of course, of speaking the English well. However, the hard time for me here is like I wanted my students to be more interactive when it comes to like teaching online. We have the 50 minutes class every day, but however, I'm having some hard time for them, like they are not answering me back when I ask questions. So I also use some different types of approach, like pointing approach, like give them points when they participate, when they answer. I also put some games a lot. I also use Kahoot, quizzes, a lot of applications that you can have. But my concern is how can online learning can be interactive?
Well, to answer your question, how to make online learning interactive, I think it's actually it would be very good for you, Miguel, because you are international teacher, right? One thing is that, if you want the students to engage in the class, you've got to make the matter more manageable to them. For example, Miguel said, oh, this is my first time in Thailand. I want to go to, let's say, to Pattaya. Where are you teaching, Miguel? Where are you right now? What province?
I'm teaching in Bangkok right now.
Okay, so for
Ajahn.
example, you say you want to go to Jatujak market. You haven't been to the Jatujak market. Pretend that you don't know anything then. So once you express yourself as a desperate, the students, Thai students by nature, they want to help out. And that's why I say, I don't know anything. And if they know about the Jatujak, they'll be happy to help you out. So the bottom line is that trying to make the connection with your students. If you teach in the Northeast, you better ask them something about Northeast, like painting clips, sticky rice, PRETESTS festival, like that. You got to ask them close to their heart, not about American culture or English culture or anything about the English language. And then they will feel that they have the full authority, even over you, because you know nothing. And that's why they are more ready to share what they know. When I went to Vietnam for my project, I asked them the grade fourth grader, they are only 8 years old, and they could talk because I said, I have a daughter, and my daughter, I pretended I have a daughter, and my daughter didn't like English at all. Why you guys English is so good, so good. I want my daughter's English to be good too. You know what? Given this situation, everyone kept giving me advice how to teach my daughter English. Even though my daughter grew up in the States, but I pretend that I have a problem. And they sympathize, they have empathy with me, and they're trying to give me, like being a coach, a long list of suggestions. Imagine that. So in your case, I think you are in a better situation than we Thai teachers, because you can say that, oh, I know nothing about Thai culture. So you can ask them anything, and you need to make the connection with your students. That if you know they are from, for example, like the area like Jatujak or slum area, you better ask them to talk about that and make them a hero. And then they say, oh, I can use my little English to talk about my own self, which is great. And you learn more about them too. Isn't that going to be wonderful? Right.
Yeah. I totally agree on that one. I like make it more personal.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Ajahn.
You're welcome. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you, Kap.
You're welcome, Ka. No more questions?
So before we get into playing games with Ajahn Budsaba, if you can take, and I already posted a link to an evaluation form in the chat box. And also, if any of you want to get a certificate of participation, please complete the form, and then the lab teacher will ask for your information. All right. So Ajahn, you ready to get?
No more questions, right? Everyone, okay, you are ready for the game? Are you ready for the game? Okay, so the prize of the game, I have the prize for you. I don't know whether the prize will be applicable, but okay. So this is how we play the game. Okay, the game is called Can You Read My Mind? Right. Use a chat box function only, and Our moderator, I have to be the judge because Ajahn Modi is not here. The question is, how can you find what are the words to fill my talk title? The answers is ranging from 2 to 4 words only, and the correct answer must be exact verbatim only. One person can try, several times. You can try again, and again, and again, and again. And once I said the answer is there, everything stopped. Now the moderator, I don't think Ajahn Modi is here, so I have to be the judge then. So
I
I
am
have to turn
here.
off. Ajahn Modi, are you here?
Yes, I'm here now.
Okay, then I have to share you my answers then, right?
All right, sure. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know, you guys might be so quick. So I'm going to stop sharing this one. And then I'm going to look at the chat box. The game will start when I say it. Be my guest. Okay, not yet. On a count to 3, everyone is on chat box now. You can try many times, as many as you like, and the answers can be like 2 to 4, 2 words, 3 words, or 4 words.
2 to
and you
4
can
words.
try many times you like. Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Be my guest.
Oh, so many.
Just type the answers, Just type the answers,
No, just the answer, please don't put
Just the
first,
answers,
don't put the first, no. Just the answer, please. What happened when online? What? So I'm waiting for your answer now, Budsaba. So
I'm typing,
okay, right. A lot of answers are up here. Okay, I got the answer now. We haven't seen yet. We haven't seen the answer
No,
yet.
not yet, not yet, not
Not
yet.
yet. Please,
Not yet.
keep on.
Not yet, not yet.
Lalila, you almost right, but not
Almost
yet.
there, almost there.
Almost.
Not right yet.
Not right, but come on.
No, not yet. Keep trying, keep trying.
Not yet.
Not
Come
yet.
on. Keep coming. Keep guessing, please.
Nobody wins the prize.
Oh dear. We're coming.
Keep trying, keep trying.
Okay. Not yet.
Not yet, not yet.
Right. There's some keywords in most of the answers. But it's not
Okay,
just
I will give you another clue. Only 3 words. Only 3 words.
3 words only. 3 words.
Not yet. Not yet. 3 words.
Not yet,
3 words.
Not yet.
The question is to complete my talk title.
Yeah.
Just only the answer. You don't have to type the whole thing to be quick. Not yet. Not yet.
We have the keyword learning too.
Oh, Ajahn Modi give away the keyword learningแล้วค่ะ
Learning now, but you have to reconstruct it all into like 3 words.
So the answer begins with learning.
Learning what? Learning is everything. No, not yet. Try.
Not yet.
Come on, keep coming. 3 words. Learning, dada. Learning what?
No, not yet. Not
yet. Keep coming. Well, no. Learning no more. No.
No, keep trying. Really.
Keep trying.
I want to have the winner, and I want to know the winner too. The answer begins with learning.
Learning something. Yeah, learning.
You need a verb, right? You need a verb as well.
Right. Where's the verb?
And think about the grammar, because I said what happened.
What happened with ED? He hints a lot already. What happened when online? learning something.
Oh,
Almost. Okay, was. Okay, was.
almost.
Almost there. Chokchai, almost
Yeah,
there.
almost there.
Almost there.
Almost there.
Almost there. Was successful. Was outdated. Was challenging.
Ah,
Okay, now
got it, we
then,
got it,
stop.
Stop,
We got
We got
the
a winner. We got a
answer
winner.
now. We got the answer now. Okay.
Right. Okay. The winner is.
Dr. Albert Braga, please.
May I see who he is? May I see who
Dr.
the person
Albert,
is?
Dr. Albert Braga.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, John.
Hi.
Can I see you?
Hi.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm naked.
Oh, okay. So that's okay. No, that's okay.
I'm
Right.
sorry, John. I'm still in my bed.
Okay. No problem. But
Okay.
Dr. Albert Braga, right? Well,
This
Right.
is correct.
can you talk a little bit about yourself? Please? Like, introduce yourself a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Please introduce yourself a bit, please.
Yes. Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Albert A. Braga from the Philippines, but currently connected at KMITL, Prince of Chumphon campus. That's all.
Well, too bad I couldn't see your face, but you are the winner. Thank you so much. But you know what? Please reach me by email then.
Okay. Yeah, it's my pleasure, John.
Yeah, congratulations. And you know what? I have to say that thank you so much, everyone. Okay, let me stop share first. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this game. I could see your effort, and I really appreciate every single effort. Thank you so much. I think it's fun to see that when the answers coming up. It's almost there. Right? Yeah. Okay. Albert Braga, you have my email account now. You see it?
Now I see you.
Okay, John. Thank you very much.
Okay, and you are in bed. So this is a very interesting. That online learning, can be best achieved in bed, huh?
Yeah, John, it happens to our students too. So we should be digital, empathetic, and sympathetic sometimes.
Oh yeah.
We ask students to please turn on your camera, and if they don't turn on, so we should be considerate sometimes.
All right. And you are just exactly doing what your students did to you, right? Okay, well, congratulations, Ka. And then thank you, everyone. If there is anything I can do, please contact me then. Thank you so much then. Okay, back to you, Modi. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Dr. Budsaba, Kanoksilapatham, for being a very inspiring and wonderful talk, right? On behalf of Lead 2, right, I really love to thank you all, right, for being here. And also, if you really need a little bit of participation certificate, please do complete our evaluation form, right? And let me share a little bit of our next event then. In our next event, that will be something about our lovely MC this session, right? So next month, right, on 21st of September, right, Dr. Sichon Kuwutiyakon will be giving kind of her insights into the multimodality. What is it then, and how can EFL teachers do with it then? So keep updated on this one. And our Lead 2 Facebook will actually inform you more, give you more things later on as well. All right, so and if you happen to miss any of the talk by Dr. Budsaba, we do have the recorded video available on our Lead 2 YouTube channel as well. All right, and I think as our tradition, this is our tradition, we need to have a photo shoot, right? A photo shoot. I'm sorry for that, but this is our tradition anyway. We always take photos, right? Okay, so if you would love to, please be here, right? Show yourself, right? Okay.
Yes, John.
Okay. Okay. I know, Albert. You can't. I know. Right. Okay, here we go. All right. Lots of fans, right? Lots of PhD students, a lot of people, right? Okay, guys. I need to take about 3 or 4 shots, right? So keep smiling. All right. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay. One more time. One more. Keep one more. Okay, there's so many pages, right? Okay. I think this is the last shot then. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much then, and thank you everyone for being here, and stay safe. And thank you, Ajahn Budsaba, for being here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ajahn Tichon as well. Right. Thank you so much, Cal, and see you again in the next session of Little Webinar. Bye bye. Thank you. Stay
Thank
safe.
you.
thank you ค่ะขอบคุณนะคะ thank you ค่ะ
God bless everyone
ค่ะ
ค่ะอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะโยกสวัสดีค่ะนัทธิกาค่ะ
ขอบคุณค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะ